When I started going to the gym, and this was 15 years ago, many people were working out as bodybuilders, and most of the bodybuilding regime involved two body parts per day, a full body workout during the week, in which you work your muscle until you feel that burning sensation, which is actually muscle fatigue, and then with eating right and all that, or taking supplements, you get bigger as you continue. I found this to be very difficult because I was definitely doing that. I was doing that for many years. But then I started associating with people who were actually training for the Olympics, the Olympic weightlifting. And what I found interesting and what I learned was that if you've ever gone to a gym in which they train Olympians, you won't find many machines and you won't find them doing lifting weights which involves isolating only one muscle, like barbell curls. What you'll find is a barbell, and they'll be pushing and pulling this barbell. They'll be lifting it up, or you know. And I spoke to the nutritionist there, who happens also to be their overseer, or how they were doing, how they were progressing, if they were doing the right movements, and so on. Their way of building muscle is very different to the way I was building muscle, and I learned certain interesting things that lots of magazines and books get wrong. The thing is, when you're training in the Olympics, it involves money. And being that it involves money, it involves also accurate research based on science. So the nutritionists get their information from peer review articles. What this means, it goes through a evaluation process to ascertain whether these methods actually work or not. And what I found, speaking to these people, is that there are quicker ways of accelerating muscle growth. Now, I'm talking in respects to people who don't take performance drugs. If you're taking performance drugs, then that's a different story. I mean, you can get away with a lot. But if you're not taking performance drugs, there is two aspects to understand if you want to gain muscle as quickly as possible. The first one is understanding how muscle hypertrophy works. What muscle hypertrophy is how you tell your body to generate muscle. And simply, and I'm not going to go into great detail in this video because all this information is available online. You just have to look at the right stuff. But all it is, if you want the maximum muscle hypertrophy, you need to do compound weightlifting. What is compound weightlifting? It's something that I started doing after learning this. I started doing barbell bench pressing. And the thing with barbell bench pressing is that once you get good at it, you are going to start using other parts of your body. You start using your arms first, then when you get a little bit heavier, you'll be using your arms and your legs, then your whole body. And what compound means is lifting or pulling or pushing a weight, which involves more than one muscle. So you want to lift, a weight which involves multiple muscles instead of isolating one. This will build the high amount of hypertrophy, a very high amount of hypertrophy. So I started doing barbell bench pressing, barbell squats. Why did I do barbell squats? It's because if you use a machine, it limits your range, your movement. Sometimes you can even rest on the machine, and it's from a geometry perspective. Some people squat lower than others, and it's all based on their, the height of their legs and their torsos and so on. So everyone's different, and with a barbell, you have free range, so you can do as much as you can, unlike with the machine, which you can't. Although machines are safer, the thing with this is, and I'll get to this later, is that you won't be lifting drastic amounts of weight. The other last thing, and this is a big one, is barbell deadlifting. With barbell deadlifting, I use an underarm and overarm grip. And that way I didn't need straps at all to lift the barbell. And if you're a bit concerned about hand grip, your hand grip will be the very first thing to develop. It's one of the quickest things to develop is your hand grip. And if you do it that way in barbell deadlifting, your hand grip will get drastically stronger really quickly. Now, the thing with deadlifts is that you have to be very cautious with your spine, and some people get away with doing the wrong movement. They can do that for years and get away with it, but eventually it will catch up to them, and slowly they'll realize, something bad, it'll progress like that slowly. You won't feel anything. All of a sudden, something bad will happen, which happened to me in 2007 when I broke my lower spine. And recover from spinal injuries can take forever, and some people don't even recover and stop doing deadlifts altogether. And the problem with that is that it's very tempting to lift very heavy weight when you're deadlifting, because you can lift very heavy weight. If you're new to deadlifting, you should be able to lift your own body weight very easily and do 8 reps of it. But you should use the right motion. You should have the right geometry. Your spine should be straight, and the way you do that is to have your chest out, your head up. You shouldn't be lifting the barbell with a squatting position. Your shoulder should be slightly raised, should be slightly higher. And there are videos on this, so just search for them on YouTube or wherever, and you'll find that information. So anyway, when you start doing these 3 exercises, but the point is that you're not going to fatigue the muscle. Excluding, not mentioning warm-ups, because as we get older, we'll need to warm up ourselves more to not pull any muscles. You're going to spend at the gym at least, no more than 35 minutes. You're going to do 3 sets of each, 8 reps, and your last rep shouldn't be impossible. It should be hard, but it should be doable. It shouldn't be one of those positive failure things which you can't even do. If you do it that way, so it's a full body workout, and you're going to do this 3 times per day, and it seems like you're actually doing less, but in fact you're taking less time to recover, so you can do the same exercise all over again. You're not fatiguing the muscle, so it's not going to take longer to recover. And when you fatigue the muscle, it actually can grow smaller, and it actually takes longer to recover, a lot more than a week than people think. The key is to not to fatigue the muscle. It's completely against to what many people do. And the thing that you have to understand between a bodybuilding regime and the regime that I'm explaining to you now, which is more of a weightlifting regime, is that bodybuilders, when they are measured, when they are in competition and they're being judged, judges aren't judging just how cut they are. They're also judging their symmetry, the symmetry between their left bicep and their right bicep. So their left bicep can't be more acute than their right bicep. They have to be the same. How do you make both biceps the same? By doing a bodybuilding regime in which you isolate one muscle. You're targeting specifically one muscle so that one particular muscle looks the same as the other. That's the whole purpose of bodybuilding. It's to win these sorts of competitions, and many people don't understand that there's a symmetry in these commentaries. There has to be a symmetry. Not many people get that. So, but as well, bodybuilders already have some lean mass. They already have some muscle to shape. They're not skinny and go from there. They already have some muscle. A lot of people start off as a bodybuilder when they don't have anything, and it takes forever to grow muscle. Unless you cheat, of course. So, this is the quickest way to build muscle, but it's twofold. That's one of the aspects, and there's another aspect to it, and that is understanding your own body, your own biological clock, and this has to do with what you eat. So if you eat the wrong food at the wrong time, it's going to take a lot longer. You're going to benefit less from your workouts to get that muscle. So there is a right time to eat carbohydrates and there is a right time to eat protein. There is a certain amount of carbohydrates that you should be eating, and there's a certain amount of protein you should be eating during the day. So you're going to have to learn how to calorie count so you know how many portions of what you're eating of protein and carbohydrates. And the other thing as well is that you should probably stay away from supplements, because a lot of times what's packaged in the supplement, what they say is not actually what you get. So I benefit a lot from having normal foods such as eggs, and if you find eggs to be very difficult to swallow or drink, which I have the same problem with, I use a blender and I put around 30% of orange juice or apple juice or pineapple juice, and it's like a smoothie. You'll be able to drink it. It will have a fruity vanilla flavor, and it doesn't taste like egg at all. It's drinkable. And I got to a stage when I started deadlifting 180 kilos, which I was drinking 12 eggs a day, and that's nothing compared to what professionals actually do. So what do you get from egg? You get protein, but not only do you get protein which has a very high index. What do I mean by protein index? Well, the thing is that you can consume 100 grams of protein, but your body might only absorb 50 to 80% of those 100 grams of protein. Why is that? Because every food has an index value. So some foods, you might be consuming a certain amount of protein, but your body might only be absorbing a certain amount of it. Eggs has a very high value, which is 98, an index of 98. Oysters is around 96, 97, and then it drops from there on, milk and so on. So these are certain little things that you have to learn. There are foods that you shouldn't be eating. Olympians don't drink coffee, for example. Some of them avoid starches. Some of them avoid fruit. When I was doing it, I was for carbohydrates. Carbohydrates is energy, which you need before the workout. And I used to eat oats. Low GI, it lasts me a long time, and I did get pretty good workouts. There are these supplements that are very high in caffeine, and they are for pre-workout, and you feel a burning sensation, you get an awesome workout, but you don't actually gain any muscle. So it's good to know these little things, and it's all based on science. It's not what you read or what you see, because just because heaps of people are doing the same thing, it doesn't mean it's the right thing. And lately I've been going to the gym because I've been trying to lose weight, and I do see people doing the right thing, working out the right way, using squatting, bench press and so on, instead of using those machines. Isolating the muscle should only be done when you have an injury and you can't do those sorts of workouts. You have no choice but to use machines. That was the whole purpose of machines. It's for symmetry, and when you have some sort of ligament damage or some sort of muscle tissue that needs to be repaired naturally. So yeah, so those are my that's how I gain muscle really quickly. It's how although Olympians don't do much of what I'll be doing, the principle's the same. It's compound weightlifting produces the maximum amount of muscle hypertrophy, along with good nutrition. So our biological clock is that before we go to bed, there's this cheese you can buy. I don't remember the name from the top of my head but anyway, which will give you a snippet of protein as you sleep, big one as you continue. I found this to be very difficult because I was definitely doing that. I was doing that for many years. But then I started associating with people who are actually training for the Olympics, the Olympic weightlifting. When I started going to the gym, and this was 15 years ago, many people were working out as bodybuilders, and most of the bodybuilding regime involved 2 body parts per day, a full body workout during the week, in which you work your muscle until you feel that burning sensation, which is actually muscle fatigue. And then with eating right and all that, or taking supplements, you get muscle like barbell curls. What you'll find is a barbell, and they'll be pushing and pulling this barbell. They'll be lifting it up, or and I spoke to the nutritionist there, who happens also, and what I found interesting and what I learned was that if you've ever gone to a gym in which they train Olympians, you won't find many machines, and you won't find them doing lifting weights, which involves isolating only one